Well, there's something to be said about celebrating way too early, and the news media is no stranger to this phenomenon. We have CTV News. Trump blocked by U.S. federal court from imposing sweeping Liberation Day tariffs. Well, that hardly went 24 hours before they were back on. Trump's Liberation Day tariffs are back on after appeals court decision. Ladies and gents, welcome back. Happy Friday. My name is Clyde, and welcome to the show. If you're not yet subscribed, there's little buttons down there. Hit that like button as well while you're down there. Let's just get into it. Before we do, for all those that have been subscribed for a while, check out the second channel. A lot of the long form content that some people, they see an hour long on a video and they're like, I don't know if I want to get into that. Well, we've condensed it down, so they're keeping it to topical things and in very short form, 10 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minute videos. Head on over there. Link will be at the very top of the description down below. Get on that. Now let's get into this story. CTV News, amongst others, were bragging that Trump was blocked by a federal court. It was a New York federal court, by the way, and this is the same federal courts that turned a misdemeanor into a felony and tried to get the guy, not allowed to run for president. The same corrupt federal court. Now, of course, if anyone in the know knew that this was going to get appealed right away and probably will stay. But that's not stopping the media from saying that it's temporary, of course. You can tell the bias based on the publication. Here we have the Washington Post saying Trump's tariffs can continue for now. Appeals court rules. Of course, it's for now. We have City News everywhere saying Trump's Liberation Day tariffs are back on. Appeals court decision. And when they read down, President Donald Trump has audaciously claimed virtual unlimited powers to bypass Congress and impose sweeping taxes on foreign products. This is actually in the purview of the President of the United States. This is a thing in his authority. So it's not bypassing Congress. Reuters saying, as long as there's no drop downs, Reuters is saying Trump's tariffs to remain in effect after appeals court grants a stay, and that stay is going to happen. Now, their summary is that the court ruled Trump exceeded authority under Emergency Powers Act. Appeals court orders plaintiffs to respond by June 5th, administration by June 9th. Uncertainty over tariffs impacts trade and market reactions. Well, the markets are doing actually quite well, considering now that people are trying to kind of figuring out where these tariffs actually stand, what's going on, what the motives behind them are, and just the reality of the situation. There was some initial shock, and a lot of people jumped on the market when everything came down and bought. And those people are doing pretty well now because they purchased a lot of these companies that were valued. Just people were panic selling, and that's where that is. Now, we have here from the Financial Times saying Trump's Liberation Day tariffs back on after appeals court decision. Federal appeals court temporarily paused a decision from the U.S. Court of International Trade. Now, this is a little bit less biased, but you can be the judge for yourself. Leave a comment in the comment section down below. So this is from Ottawa. U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs are still hitting most countries around the world after federal appeals court temporarily paused a decision from the U.S. Court of International Trade. The lower court Wednesday decision found Trump's use of emergency powers law to impose sweeping tariffs exceeded his authority. Now, it's always if it's benefiting the United States, it's bad. If it's benefiting, global cabals, it's good. That's always how it is. But nonetheless, that lower court ruling says that Donald Trump's administration was not able to demonstrate how broad-based tariffs affected the fentanyl trafficking it used as justification for the tariffs. Now, that is just one set of tariffs. So does that mean only the punitive tariffs against Canada and Mexico are the ones that are on hold? Or, well, they're not on hold anymore. they're still in place, but they may be lifted at some point. I'm not sure. How is the court going to rule on that? But how are they gonna ensure that this is the thing? I mean, nobody wants to admit just how much fentanyl trade is occurring, except perhaps under oath. We saw in parliamentary meetings, and we heard the RCMP admit that there are over 4,000 individual entities. We're not talking about individual people. We're talking about individual organizations with their own separate leadership and all of this. 4,000 groups working in the fentanyl trade in Canada. That's where we are, and that's just on the Canadian side. Now, the tariff tracker, this is an interesting one where they're showing the tariffs that are on and off and on and off and on and off, what's happening. And of course, it's all to confuse people and make people think that Donald Trump is an irrational character that's not doing things. But this is how trade negotiations work. This is how any sort of negotiation in business works, is you throw something out there and then you make it different, and then we come back and perhaps we release some of that and we go over here, and that's how negotiations work. This is happening on both sides of the border, and that's how things go. Now, hours earlier, Prime Minister Mark Carney said in the House of Commons that the original ruling was welcome, but Canada's trade relationship with the U.S. is still threatened. Carney added that Canada's trading relationship with the United States is still profoundly and adversely threatened by unjustified tariffs on steel, aluminum, and the auto sector. It therefore remains the top priority of Canada's new government to establish a new economic and security relationship with the United States to strengthen our collaboration with reliable trading partners and allies around the world, he said. And of course, this is justification for going out and bringing us in as Canadians into the European Union, because that'll do us really good. How good are they doing over there? But nonetheless, you can't let a good emergency go to waste. But of course, this is the rule here. If they can suspend your rights because there is an emergency, they will continue to manufacture emergencies. This doesn't need to be an emergency. All this has to be is the federal government complying with what Trump is actually saying. We see that you have 4,000 different entities working within your country and selling this bad stuff all over the globe. And we would prefer that the people that are so close to us on the border don't do that. And realistically, I mean, all you have to do is look at a map of Canada, see how spacious the place is, and where all the people actually are. All the people are actually very, very close to the border. That's concerning when all of that activity that's happening isn't happening in rural or faraway places. This is all happening very, very close to the border. In fact, I even suggested that this be the new map for Canada for at least the 90% of Canadians that live in it, because this is actually the Canada that most people know. Most people don't know the rest of it. It's a vast place, but it's not populated by people all over the place. And I digress. Anyway, we'll get into that. After question period, Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne said he hadn't seen the appeal court decision yet, but the government's goal of fighting for Canadian industry and workers hasn't changed. Well, it hasn't changed in 10 years, actually, ladies and gents. This is where we're at. We have the same government that we had under Justin Trudeau. How well do you think that's going to work out for you? This is the reality of the situation. We're really just kind of waiting to see if they capitulate with Trump's demands, to see if we can move on with our lives. Because at the end of the day, the United States wants to bring manufacturing back to the United States. This is what Donald Trump's plan is. This is what he wants to do. And he also wants to ensure that security is happening in the United States. They want to ensure that none of that bad stuff and bad people with our bad immigration system is coming over into the U.S. border. So that's the securities that they're looking for in order to relieve Canadians of these tariffs. Do you think that's going to happen under this? I'd love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. We'll see you in the before we get into that, once again, want to encourage people, head on over to the second channel, make sure you subscribed, and you'll catch the content that's happening over there. Until then, we'll see you in the next one. Everybody, keep on tracking.